Welcome, everybody, to the Just Add Bourbon podcast. I'm Jimmy Don Kerr.
And I'm J.D. Dammer.
And it is another beautiful Sunday evening here in the hills of Eastern Kentucky. And I did look out. I was trying to be good, JD. I was trying not to look out my window, but it does crack me up every time I do that because I always turn around and look out the window. And JD, I didn't notice it till I was actually uploading it one night on YouTube. And I was kind of watching the beginning of it, and all of a sudden I saw JD go. I thought, what's he doing? So I went back and I said, oh, he's mocking me, punk. So Brad may or may not be on. I mean, this poor guy has stuff go on at work. It's the craziest thing. And he had a situation come up this evening that he is not able to be on with us right now. But hopefully he'll be able to jump on here with us here in a little bit. So we're going to talk. JD posted a little earlier some of the topics that we're going to go over today. And he has not told me the story yet of how his feelings got hurt. So I'm really interested to hear that because I know that JD has feelings. It is widely believed that he does not, but I know that JD has feelings. So we're going to hear a little bit about that in a second. But the first topic, JD, is just a little housekeeping business, I guess. JD and I have this challenge going on. We both started our own YouTube channels for different reasons, but we both started one. And so we decided we wanted to have a competition to see who could get to 250 subscribers first. And right now, I think JD? I think I have 81 and you have 72, 73, something like that.
Yeah.
So JD and I were talking earlier today, and we want to spice it up just a little bit for the viewers.
I like your word there, by the way.
You want to spice it up? You like that? It's a play on words. Carolina Reaper, play on words, JD. I've got skills when it comes to talking. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, go
ahead. So what we're going to do is we're going to sweeten or spice up the challenge just a little more. So we're trying to get to 250 subscribers. Now, that's the Jason Dameron page. You can look it up, Jason Dameron. Is the comedian on there with that too, JD, or is it just Jason Dameron?
Jason Dameron.
Okay. And then mine is Small Town Collectibles. So on JD's page, he reviews bourbon. He shows you how to make different drinks and actually, taste test them. There's one I'm wanting to try to taste test. And on my page, I open mystery boxes for comic books and toys and different things. So two very different interests, but our interest nonetheless. So what we're going to try to get people to do is this. If we can get all three of our channels, being the Jason Dameron channel, the Small Town Collectibles channel, and the Just Add Bourbon YouTube channel, if we can get all three of those to 250 subscribers, JD and I both will eat a Carolina Reaper live on our channel. I don't want to do it either, JD. But for 250 subscribers, I'll puke live on Facebook or YouTube or whatever it is, I guess. And we will each I will wear a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris for president shirt. And JD will wear Donald Trump, Mike Pence president for shirt. Yeah, right. That's what's going to cause JD to throw up on camera is not the Carolina Reaper. It's the actual Trump shirt. So JD, you down with that?
I'm down, man. Let's do it. I'm with it. One of the things, man, I've been doing on my page, I think I'm going to do a little more of is some woodworking things. I've got an interest in it. I've always wanted to do it. And I think the people that drink bourbon, probably like woodworking too. So I'm going to start incorporating that into my channel a little bit more. And because it's something I enjoy doing and want to share with you guys.
It's funny, JD, as you get to know JD a little more and you start to peel back the layers of the onion, JD is, he's a chameleon. He knows how to mix a good bourbon drink. He is actually really good at woodworking because I've seen his work. He actually has it at the barrel. It's there, and I've seen it. And he actually does some cool stuff.
Yeah. So I'm trying to incorporate into that in my channel just because I think it's fun and want to show it off a little bit and have a good time with it. I think people enjoy looking at it. And I'm learning how to do time-lapse videos where I can, start at the beginning of the project and time-lapse some of that stuff where people don't have to sit and watch it for 6 hours, but they can see the process still, even through the time lapse. So
that's cool, man. I think, like I said, that because I can't do anything like that. Yeah. Nothing. Nothing. You can show me a set of financials and, something that would make somebody else's mind melt. And it's like a symphony to me. I can see it, you ask me to saw something in half, it's untelling what might happen, and it's just dangerous. I don't know. I can't do that.
She said.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's jump into some topics. Now, the first topic is something.
What do you think about Josiah? We need to talk about the interview, man.
Yeah. Josiah Zahner, man.
I had a good time Thursday night, man.
You sure did.
Most people laughed on one, man. Really, like
man, it was. To be honest with you, that it went a completely different direction than what I thought that interview would be, and I actually had a ball with this guy. Like, I mean, it was a lot of fun, and he was actually just a cool cat. He was different than I expected.
Yeah.
Based on the Netflix documentary on natural selection, it was different than I expected. But he gave us a phenomenal comment at the end. Now, I don't know if he meant it or he was drunk. I don't know. But he said that we were probably the best podcast he had ever been on, and that he had never been on a podcast where he got asked the questions that he got asked that he did on ours, which I thought was cool, man. I mean, I thought that was a good compliment.
My favorite part of the whole podcast, I can't remember what he said, but you know how Brad gets all stoic over there in the corner, he's just sitting there, and all of a sudden Brad just drops this one-liner, and I spit my drink everywhere. I absolutely, because Brad was like he was not helping with the conversation at all. He was just sitting there. Then all of a sudden he just drops one on us, and I lost him, and I spewed my drink everywhere, and I think he got choked. Josiah got choked up.
Yeah.
Good time, man. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about Brad. You don't see that a lot on here because Brad, is just kind of serious, and Brad's very intellectual about a lot of the topics that we talk about. He's very well read and studied on those things. Brad's one of the funniest people I know.
Right.
And he constantly drops these one-liners. I mean, the dude had a Twitter account at one time. I think he had like 9,000 or 10,000 followers. And what he was doing was dropping one-liners that were funny. And he developed this massive Twitter following doing it. So, yeah, but no, it is. I laugh because when we're doing these, I mean, we're just sitting here listening to people talk, and Brad looks very serious when he's sitting there. But yeah, it made me laugh too, because I went back and listened to that one, and he dropped that, and I was kind of like you. I was like, oh God, that was hilarious. Yeah. And then your face when you about spit that drink out cracked me up.
There were no about nothing. There was everywhere, bro. I'm gonna tell you right now.
That was funny, but no, I mean, it was a good time. I'll rank it up there probably. And as far as having fun, that was probably one of the top 5 interviews as far as actually having a good time talking to somebody and it was just completely different than I expected.
Yeah, that's what the thing was. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into this topic. Now, we talked last week a little bit about this, again, kind of some local flavor. We talked about our local community center having to close down, and we talked about some of the things surrounding that. And if you're watching live on Facebook right now, and you want to ask us a question, JD will be monitoring that, and he'll kind of lay those questions out. Now, I am on the board and have been on the board for some time, and we're now kind of restructuring how the board is set up, and we're in the process of restructuring the business model as well. But I've asked JD to actually be on the board as well, and I asked JD to be on because JD thinks completely different than I do. And that's pretty obvious when you're on here and we're kind of discussing things and debating things. JD thinks different. And I actually like that for that particular board. And JD has a lot of energy, cares about his community. I mean, obviously he's down there Friday nights. You can find him on the local football field, inspiring young men, to play football. But he has a vision. He has a lot of energy. And we've developed a new board down there where we've got a lot of energy and a lot of smart people, and hopefully we can make a go of that thing. But one of the things I wanted to talk a little bit about, JD, is one thing I did hear, I actually got a question on, is I had so much on my mind when we were doing that board meeting the other night, I didn't actually install the new board members. So I'm going to have to go back. We're going to do that tomorrow evening. That kind of thing you can backtrack on and go back and do, and we're going to get together tomorrow evening and do that. Some of the original board members. We have enough to have a quorum, and we'll get that part out of the way. So if anybody had a question on that, that's something that we're going to address and take care of tomorrow evening. But I want to talk a little bit about how we're going to save our community center. And if you're watching, if you're here in Martin County and you're watching and you want to ask a question about some things, feel free to do that. And we'll try our best to answer those that we can.
We've already got one.
Oh, we do? Okay, go ahead. What is it before we even get started?
Marshall Jude, I'm sure it's Eric. But what kind of ideals do we have to keep it running? that's a pretty broad question, and we'll get into that right now, I think. So
All right. So when you're operating a failing business, okay, when you're trying to take a business that is currently underwater or the business model itself doesn't work, you essentially have to start in phases. Okay. And this is what we talked about in the board meeting the other night, JD, is we're going to go through a series of phases. So we've got some new members installed, or we will tomorrow evening. We'll get those members officially installed. We'll have a new chair, new vice chair, new secretary, and then I'm going to act as treasurer. I did not want to, but I got nominated and I just didn't say no. So first things first, we have got to get the community center back to what I would call zero. And when I say zero, right now, the community center itself is behind on its electric bill roughly 4 months. The electric bill there at the community center runs somewhere between $7,000 to $10,000 a month. So we're going to do some things locally, some fund drive or some fundraising efforts. You're already seeing some of those things taking place right now. There was a GoFundMe page set up. I went ahead and made a donation to that, try to kind of get it started. There's a GoFundMe page. We're in the process. Angie Crum, local lady who is awesome, is doing this bake sale, online bake sale that's getting started, or raffle. Yeah, basically people go on and bid on baked goods.
no, we got a raffle going on as well, though.
Oh, and there's a raffle going on. JD's actually on that committee to do the fundraising efforts.
Yeah. So we got a donated a Glock 45.
Nice.
That we're going to sell off $10 raffle tickets on, man. And we get a chance. I think we're probably going to do $10 a chance, probably 3 for $20. Try to raise some money. And it's a nice, really nice gun, man. I'm going to definitely buy some chances.
Oh, cool. Me too. I will probably support it in every way that I can. So initially, we probably, to kind of get ourselves back to zero, and this is a big number, okay, we're probably going to have to raise about 30 grand, okay, just to get us back to zero. Then we probably need to set a goal of around 50,000 because we need to buy ourselves a little time. We need some breathing room in order to kind of get past COVID and try to get back to normal business with the community center. We've got to buy ourselves a little time. Now, we're not actually going to have any payroll in the short term. Our current director, and who I'll just take a minute to shout out on here, Kendra Fletcher, has worked as a director at the community center forever. Awesome. But she's going to step down and move on, but she's going to help us kind of get situated before we do. And our new chair will actually help kind of keep the doors open for the businesses that are there as we're working on some of the things that we're doing. So we're not really going to have any payroll. We've essentially got the building shut down. The movies won't open back up unless we can do some kind of like pre-sale where we pre-sale an event or something like that at the movie theater. We might try to do something like that. But for the time being, we're going to leave it shut down. We're keeping the electric turned off best we can to kind of lower that bill. Our local Kiwanis Club stepped up and actually paid an insurance premium that was due. We really appreciate those guys taking care of that. So we've got a lot of good stuff going.
I'll be regretful if I didn't mention that, this coming Thursday, another fundraising event that's going on Thursday at the community center. The Kiwanis Club is actually be selling lemonade.
Oh, yeah.
Along with Hillbilly Hibachi, who's going to be there selling food, and 100% of the proceeds are going to come to us.
That's awesome.
So on Thursday, you guys get down there and have you some Hillbilly Hibachi and have some lemonade.
I'll be there. I would be there just for that lemonade. That Kiwanis lemonade is legendary.
It is.
So, that's something. So, yeah, we've got a bunch of different things going on to try to raise that initial amount to get us back to zero. Now, we're going to have to look at, and I don't want to talk about this on here because there's going to be some things that we're going to have to do with the current lessees, some discussions that are going to have to be had as far as the people who occupy the building as businesses right now. We're not going to do anything crazy with them, but we're going to have to sit down and talk to them about how we structure things going down the road to make it self-sufficient. Now, the other thing, JD, and this is the part that I really wanted to focus on here, was we're trying to come up with a membership program. And that membership program, we will find a price point. We don't want it to be crazy, but, something in the neighborhood of, let's just say, because the number that kind of keeps bouncing around in my head is $10, right? So say $10 for an individual, or if you're already have a membership with the fitness center that's there. We will work something out with the fitness center where you're not having to pay like 2 memberships, where we can kind of incorporate that with that. And it's not an extreme, expense. But here's what it boils down to for the community center. This community, if it wants the community center, is going to have to support it. We had a guy that was essentially carrying it by himself for almost 18, 19 years. And, for reasons, whatever, that's no longer going to happen. So in order for us to keep our community center, the entire community is going to have to come together. Now, and that really is what it boils down to. I'll be honest with you. It doesn't matter who's on this board. It doesn't matter who is on our physical court, who's on our economic development authority. It does not matter when it comes to the community center itself. If the community wants to keep this community center, we got to support it. And I think there's roughly 12,000 people in Martin County. Let's say 2,000 of those people are at the USP Big Sandy. That puts us about 10. You take kids out of the equation, older people who aren't going to use it anyway. We're probably down to roughly 5,000, 6,000 people. If we can get, 20% of those people to buy a membership, then it will create a cash flow stream for the community center that will help us buy time as we restructure the actual business of the community center itself. There's an opportunity potentially for someone, if they want a business, to run the movie theater. They would lease the movie theater from the community center board, and they could run it as their own business. That's a possibility. There's just a bunch of different things that are going to have to be done. But this is the bottom line. And this is the part I want people to really hear, is for us to keep the community center open, the community will have to support it. Now, if we can get 5,000 people to buy memberships, well, that'd be 50 grand a month. That's more money than we need, right?
Yeah. So
we would back those membership costs down. We would back those down. We're not trying to buzz people. Right. Yeah. We want it to be able to be sufficient to run it on its own. With the help, we don't want to have to depend on one individual or one business or just big donors themselves to keep it going. And then we're going to try to open it up to listen to people and some of the things that they would like us to do there. I know, like one of the things we talked about with the membership, it would give you almost like a key card where you could go in and walk the track, play ball at the gym. You would get discounts on parties that we have there. Maybe a free movie ticket or a free popcorn or a free drink, when you come to the movies. If there's a movie that comes out that can actually be shown before the release date, like it actually opens up. It's kind of cool how all that works. But if it kicks into where you can actually watch it, members would have the opportunity to come in early and watch the movie.
Yeah.
And, so some things like that. So we've got some good people on some committees right now working really hard, trying to come up with good, viable ideas that can be done. But at the end of the day, if the community steps up and the community supports it, it will survive. We can make it survive. If the community does not, then it'll close. It's just that simple. And we, as a group, the board, decided we wanted to give it a shot because it has become the hub of our community. We all have memories there, JD. I mean, like, I don't know how many movies I've watched with JD there, or kids hanging out and me and JD sat in the back and watch a movie together. I mean, that was before we were doing the podcast and even really hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I've been to birthday parties there. I think my daughter was, 2, 3, we had a birthday party there. And the other thing I got to say is the current physical court has said that they will try to assist us. They've already got $50,000 in their budget. And then what I really asked them for the other night was we may need some more monetary support. I don't want to pin myself in a corner and say we don't, because that could happen. But what we need is their expertise and their support. And, all 5 members of the fiscal court, the county judge, the deputy judge, the county attorney, all those people, just to have our back as we're trying to move through this and assist us. Because there's going to be things, JD, that none of us really know when it comes to how county stuff works. And I have some expertise on it, just dealing with the water stuff. But, this is a little different. And so, look, we're just asking for the community support, and we're going to keep rolling things out of how you can do that. And like I said, if we work together as a county, the community center board, fiscal court, economic development, and the people of Martin County, if we work together, we can absolutely save it.
Yeah, and that's the thing to me, man. And it's something we discussed at the meeting the other night. And I think that's important for people to hear. Is we don't want to change the community center to a flat out business. We don't want that. We want it to remain a community center where people, come and together with their friends and families. But now for that to happen, we're going to have to ask you to dive into those pockets and support us monetarily. And so,
right, absolutely. And like I said, I think we'll have, business support in the community. I think people, I said it last week, JD, and I absolutely mean it. It's one thing about Martin County. We can fight with each other, be mad at each other, but when it comes time to pull together and actually do something like this, we excel at this. I mean, it's one of my favorite things about being from here, man, is the community. Right. And how we will absolutely step up and support each other when we have to. And this is one of those situations where we are absolutely going to have to step up together, because it will take every single one of us. And I don't want people to think I'm exaggerating, because I'm not. It will take every single one of us in this community to keep this thing up and going.
So Andre Ray had a question.
Sure.
When I was growing up there, we didn't have the community center, and I would have loved it. I hope we can keep it going. There's a foundation charitable fund that helps support it. Andre, if you go to our Just Add Bourbon podcast page right now, we have a GoFundMe account set up that you can donate to right there on the Just Add Bourbon podcast page.
Yeah, and we are looking into I'm sorry, JD. We are looking into something I'm working with the deputy judge of the county. Is he said it the other night at the meeting, and he was right. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We just need to get ourselves some time bought so that we can get to a certain point. And I mean, there's some other things we can look to do. I mean, you can get it on a ballot. Most counties and cities have some kind of tourism or recreational tax or something like that is charged at restaurants and gas stations and things like that. That's something we could look to get on the ballot. Maybe do 1% down the road and not do the memberships. Just kind of let it go back to the way it is.
And this point is brought up, but if I was at the dairy bar and there was a 1% tax and I was paying $6.33 for a hamburger, and that 1% tax jumped it up to $6.85. I would never even know the difference, never even care.
That's right.
To keep those doors open.
That's right. And so that's something we can look at. Yeah. There's the thing that we got to do. We got to work it through phases, right? We got to get ourselves back to zero, buy us enough time to try to get past this pandemic thing so we can get to normal business, and then develop a very solid business plan. Because that is the one thing that does have to change. And people got to understand the business plan has to change. And we can do that. We've got good people on the board now, along with the fiscal court and the other people in the community. We want everybody to be a part of this. Because like I said, dude, it is our community center. Martin County's, period.
I want to say to the people of Martin County, you have a board at that community center who really cares about the community, cares about that community center, and are willing to go to bat for you guys. If you give us a chance, you help us. We're going to do all we can do to make sure that community center stays open and make sure kids have a place to go.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, I told the story that I came out from that first meeting, and when we knew that we were going to have to close it down and we were definitely going to have to do something different. I was walking out the door, and it was kind of like a slow motion movie because we were all kind of sick to our stomachs. We were kind of shell shocked. We were, we come out and I see this car pull in, has West Virginia tags. And this family gets out, and this little kid, as I'm walking by, says, "Dad, I cannot wait to watch this movie." And I said, that's what it is, man. That's the community center. And we're not it's not just people from here that use it. Right. We have people from every county around us that come over here.
But we need to stress that this ain't just one person's community center. This ain't just this. It's not just the people of Inez as a community center. This is all of our community center. This is Martin County's community center, as far as I'm concerned. Eric Jude just now posted again, said emergency management has given enough cleaning supplies and hand sanitizer to last several months. Anything else I can do, let me know. That's a big help right there.
That's right, because we've got Sheila Maynard. She has a cleaning business. They're cleaning the business. They're cleaning the community center right now for us at no charge. Emergency management, Eric Jude gave the cleaning supplies. so that she didn't have to dip into her own to do that. And then Braden Mills he cut the grass, and he's going to cut the grass for the rest of until basically the rest of the summer, until it doesn't have to be cut at no charge.
Wow.
And you know what he told me? He said, Jimmy Don, he said, I wouldn't have had my first car if it wasn't for the community center, because they allowed him to work down there. They allowed him to cut the grass. They allowed him. He said, it's the least I could do. Josh, give back.
I'm sure most won't care to pay a few dollars to play ball in a nice gym. You know, it's true, Josh. There's a lot of things we're going to look at going forward, but you know, I'm excited to get to work on it. I'm hoping the people of Martin County can help us out, and we're going to fix this thing. Yeah,
and we need you. I want to stress that we need you, and because it does not work. If we fail at this, it will be because as a community we did not come together and fix it. And I can't stress that enough. We've got to come together, put all our differences aside. When it comes to the community center, it's our community center. It's really the one nice thing that we truly have. It's a safe place for our kids to go and hang out, and you don't have to worry about drugs and different things. It's just a safe place, and we need that place. And I told JD the other day, I can't tell you why I care so much about the community center. I can't tell you one thing. What I can tell you is when I first got out of college and came back here to work, I came back because I'm a total mama's boy, right? I wanted to be near my mom. I can't help it. And I love Martin County, man. I don't know why. I love it. I mean, it's beautiful here. I mean, I love it. I love the people. There's a way that we are that I just love. We're very supportive. We survived in, probably the 60s, 70s when it was very poor here before the coal boom hit, because we helped each other. My grandmother used to tell me all the time, people didn't even know they were poor. She said they just helped each other, and, everybody got by. That's how it worked. And that's actually ingrained in us. And I believe that with my whole heart, that's ingrained in us. But when I got out of college, they were building the community center. I used to get to go through it and watch it being constructed. And I don't know if I was just young, JD, and I was kind of awestruck by it. I don't know. But it's always just kind of held a special place in my heart. And then, like I said, the last birthday party that we had for my daughter that my dad was alive happened at that community center. One of the best pictures that I have of me and my girls happened at the daddy-daughter dance. It's right here. It's sitting right over here on this shelf. Happened at the community center. I mean,
I've been through those daddy-daughter dances too. It means a lot to me. One of the things I can say, it's about the kids, man, this community. It's the same thing with my coaching. The reason I coach and volunteer so much of my time to that, it's important our youth have a place to go, man, because a lot of these kids don't have good home lives. And I know the kids that are down there playing ball in the evening time. And I know what they'd be doing if they weren't down there playing ball. There's no saying that says the idle hand is the devil's playground. And, religious or not religious, I mean, if you're just sitting around doing nothing, you're going to be in no good in a very short time. And so
that's right.
It's important we keep good recreation open to these kids that don't have good home lives.
I absolutely agree. And I can tell people that are watching that we do have, the commitment from the judge, the fiscal court, and we've already gotten a lot of commitment from people in the community trying to help out and trying to get started. But I wanted to make sure, and, we have a platform here, JD, where people they do watch us, and, we've been growing every episode. And I thought it was important that we use our platform to just kind of let people know, look, this is what you are going to have to do. This is what we got to do. And if we don't do that, we won't have the community center. It's just that simple. And if we do it, then we can have the community center for years to come.
Right. Roger Priest's comment said, pride starts at home, Hart, Martin County. So absolutely, Roger.
Absolutely, Roger. And that's Magistrate District 2 here, Roger Priest. Thank you for commenting, Roger. And he's absolutely right. Yeah. And, like I said, we all know, man, we're all proud to be from here. And I will promise you, maybe, JD, maybe this is just me, but I'm going to ask you this anyway. I don't care where you go. You could be talking to a stranger in an airport in New York City, and you tell them you're from Martin County, and they will know somebody from Martin County.
Dude, I was in Texas, and I seen a Tommy's Auto Sales car driving around down there. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, Tommy's Auto Sales, right. and a great local business. I mean, there's a lot of heart. There's a lot of pride in our little home. And like I said, we're going to ask everybody to come with us and join us. We want your ideas. We want your ideas about what we can do for fundraising. We want your ideas of things that you as a community would want to see at our community center that maybe we haven't been able to do before. We want all the fresh ideas. If you're going to help us support this, then we're going to listen to each and every one of you and try to make some of these things happen that our community wants.
Absolutely. I totally agree, man. Couldn't agree more.
All right. So that's mine and JD's public service announcement for the evening. And both of us getting a little sappy there. So we apologize. And for our listeners who listen outside of Martin County or Eastern Kentucky, thank you for, allowing us to kind of talk on that, because it's incredibly important to JD and I both.
For sure. Yeah.
So JD, I wanted to hear your story. Look, it hurts my feelings. It hurts my feelings that your feelings were hurt. Because JD's this big tough. He's a defensive coordinator. He's got the ball head, the goatee, looks tough, but JD's got feelings. So JD, lay your story on me.
So, my daughter's been playing in a summer league softball games, and, she's having a good time with that. I think they're all done with it, by the way. I actually think it's over now. But a few weeks ago, I brought one of her friends home. Man, you know how it is at the ball field. You take care of each other's kids. I'm the kind of person, if I'm around and your kids are in trouble, or I'm going to watch after them, man. Like, I'm not going to let nobody say nothing to any kids that I know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So a mother calls me, said, "I used to use the ball game." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Do you care to bring so-and-so home?" I was like, "Oh, ain't no problem." So we leave the ball field. We go get Wendy's or something. And we start talking about how her grandma doesn't like me because of my politics on Facebook. And that her granddaughter, the one I had in the car with me, was allowed to go stand out at one of my daughter's mutual friend's house because my daughter was there. Because of me. Yeah. That hurts me a little bit, man. Now, that bothers me that somebody's so close-minded, so ignorant that they refuse to let their grandchild be a friend with my daughter because of what I believe and what I put on my personal Facebook. That bothers me. That hurt my feelings, man. It really did.
I mean, look, you're a snowflake. There's no doubt. No, I say that with love. It actually kind of goes into, I know you put on the post that we were going to do this on Facebook, that we were going to talk about the president's brother dying. And that actually kind of goes with the topic of kind of what I wanted to discuss on that particular topic. Because JD and I we realized we haven't really talked about stuff we want to talk about in weeks. And so we may go for 5 hours tonight. I don't know.
Hey, Richie.
Oh, I love it. So,
no, when it comes to my kids, man, I'm sensitive about that. Like,
of course.
Well, and man, like so.
And two, to think that. Look, I'm here to tell you, JD amuses me. If you want to be amused, go follow JD on Facebook, especially if you're a conservative, because if you've got a sense of humor, it's pretty interesting to watch, and you can actually find some reasonable discussion on there as well. I mean, you may not agree with JD. I don't agree with JD on about 90% of the stuff that we talk about. That's a fact. But I love JD. Like, JD and I become very, very good friends, and we don't agree on much, do we, JD? I said, as far as politics go, we don't really agree on much. I think we agree a lot of times on the outcome.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I think so.
But we don't necessarily agree on how you get there.
Sure.
And that's the whole point of the democracy that we live in, is you have people with different ideas and you wrap it out and you debate and you talk, and then you hopefully, if I'm over here and JD's over here, hopefully we end up right here and we end up with a pretty good idea.
So before you go on, one of the things about this story too is, like, this girl couldn't even let her grandma know that she was riding home with me.
Really?
Because she was going to be upset like that. She was in my car, in my vehicle, riding with me.
I just don't understand that. All right, so
Lincoln's, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand. All right, so what we were talking about with the president, I told JD, we were kind of doing a little pre-show talk, and I said, I want to talk about President Trump's brother dying, not the fact that the man died. That's awful. It was his younger brother. Apparently, they were really good friends. I hate that. To be like my sister died, that'd be awful. But there was a hashtag started, the wrong brother.
Yeah.
What is wrong with people?
Man, that's crazy to me. Like, and I'm actually in a group with some people on Facebook that was trending that hashtag, and I just ignored it, turned it off because what? I mean, no sympathy for just because this guy has different political leanings. I don't care, man. Like, there's nothing that President Trump has ever done that bad to me, man. Not like I don't disagree. I'm not a Trump fan, and I don't agree with a lot of what he does. But I'm not going to be hashtagging the wrong brother died or the wrong Trump died, or I'm glad he's dead. I mean, that's crazy, man.
It is. How did we get here, JD?
To hold this guy, put the guilt on him because you disagree with his brother politically. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand that. Like, how did we get here?
I don't know how.
Like, even here, I sit here and did this big speech about how awesome our community is. We've got some unrest here in even our little community, and it makes me so uncomfortable. Yeah. And I don't understand. Like, look, for our county, our little county to succeed, we've all got to work together. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, we're geographically disadvantaged as it is, but we're still neighbors. We're still Eastern Kentuckians. We're still Martin Countyans. We're Americans. It is like, that really bothered me. And I don't even know who President Trump's brother is, to be honest with you. I don't have a clue who that man is.
It don't matter though, man. Like,
it doesn't matter. Why? Or I just don't understand how we got here.
Hate's never good, man.
Right.
Like, it don't matter who you're aiming toward. Hate is not a good thing. It's not good for you to hate somebody because the other person is going to be affected by it. I mean, the only person who's going to be affected by it is by you, man.
Right.
So hate's not good. Like, and then I don't care if it is directed towards somebody I disagree with. Like, to disagree with him, about the job he's doing or the job he has done, it's totally different than like, the wrong one died. Like, bro, that's ruthless, man, and heartless.
Well, and for someone to not allow their child to stay all night somewhere because your child was there because they disagree with the things that you say on Facebook.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. And like I said, dude, I love Haley. Haley's a good kid. I don't hold it against Haley, your political belief. Hell, I don't hold it against you, your political beliefs. Beyond, it's just one of those things. There's a whole lot more to people than the D or the R.
Right, man. That's amen.
And like I said, dude, at the end of the day, and this is the part that baffles me, JD, and we may have talked about this on here before. And if I'm regurgitating this thought, I just am. I'm sorry. But what I just said a second ago about me and you is we probably agree on the outcome of 99% of the issues. There may be about 1% of the issues that we don't even agree on the outcome.
Right.
But 99% of the issues we actually agree upon.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily agree on the path to get there,
right,
but we both agree. And if you can agree on the outcome, the path to get there can be worked out.
Right.
But you got to treat each other with respect. And to hold that against somebody because of what they post, that baffles me.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that person is, and it doesn't matter. I would love them either way, even if that's how they feel. I would still love them, but I can see where that would hurt your feelings.
Yeah, I mean, because it hurt my daughter's feelings. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because, like, what does she have to do with the way I feel about things? She
Nothing.
She cares about my political beliefs.
She could care less.
Not. Let me tell you right now.
Haley don't even know who's running for president. Neither does Ashton.
No way.
And to hold that against you, that isn't right. I mean, it's, now JD, the one thing now, if you don't want to discuss it, don't comment on JD's post because JD will 100% debate you. How many times have we sat, JD, at night and me and JD are going back and forth through we're having a text battle, and Brad messages us individually and says, would you please go to your own personal text? I'm trying to sleep. And me and JD are just going at it. Yeah. And then when we get done, I'm like, all right, dude, love you. Talk to you tomorrow.
All the time, man.
All the time. I mean, and we go at it. Like, we really get into it. And I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. And when I saw that hashtag last night too, dude, I was just like, what do you mean?
Yeah, it's blown away. But
look at this.
These are
look what I got. Hold on, JD.
Oh.
For the Facebook people here, this dog is sitting over here trying to lick my hand. So,
is that dog bald now or what?
Yeah, she just got her hair cut. This is Nessa. This is the boss of the house. This is the only child that Amy and I have that will talk to us.
Right. Not stowed away in the room somewhere.
That's right. I'm no longer cool. Although my new video on the small town page, Addison actually filmed it for me because Ashton was watching a movie or something. So Addison filmed it for me. And she was like, Dad, that was kind of fun. That was pretty cool. Right. And also, do you remember, JD? I just want to bring this up. Our daughters, how embarrassed they were of us when we started doing the Just Add Bourbon podcast. And now they want to wear our gear.
Right. I don't blame them.
I don't either. We're awesome.
we just had a comment on your
Sure.
radio. Bloomfield says, people are jerks behind the safety of their computers. I don't agree politically with 90% of the people in my life, but I am respectful. And it's tough. They're all crazy. Everyone should be kind and respectful. And Audrey, I couldn't agree more with you.
I really couldn't either, to be honest with you. I said, and it's just weird, the climate that we're in, that we really, it's so disrespectful that you hate the president so bad that you would make a hashtag about his brother. That is so disrespectful.
Yeah. Well, and disrespectful. It's just stupid, man.
It's stupid. JD, if Biden gets elected, if he beats Trump, if he gets elected, how much is my life really going to change? Probably not a lot.
No.
He'll make some policy decisions. These things run in cycles. Right. It's the genius of our founding fathers.
Sure.
Government moves slow and everything goes in cycles. So you'll have a movement one way, like with Trump. There was a reason it went that way. And he may get beat. He may win. If Biden wins, it'll kind of move back this way. And at some point, a Republican will get elected and it'll move back this way. That's the idea.
So let's talk about this vice presidential pick that he took.
Sure.
What do you think about Kamala Harris?
Honestly, it didn't really, as far as, I don't really like her. Okay. But did it change my mind or affect my opinion in any way about who I'm going to vote for president? No. I don't really like her. And here's why. And I know, we've talked a lot about on this show about race and different things, but every single time that she says anything, whatever's wrong, it is related to race, and race may play a role in it, but it is not all of it. And that wears me out. And she absolutely called Biden a racist on the debate stage. Now, people can say, oh my God, she called him a racist. Do you know what Ted Cruz and all those guys said about Trump?
A lot worse than that.
Yes. And now they're all best pals right up there in DC. That's just how much BS this really is.
Right.
But as far as Kamala Harris, she is a strong speaker. She will be hard for Pence to handle on a debate stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I didn't really think it was his best choice. I don't know. I'm not surprised that he picked her. It seemed like it was kind of getting set up for her all along. But did it really change my mind one way or the other? No, I'm still going to vote for Trump because I like Trump's policies.
Right. So I'm on the opposite.
Of course.
When he picked Kamala Harris, I was like, it actually took me back for a minute because I don't like Kamala Harris. And not because of the race thing. I mean, because a little bit because she likes reparations. I don't like that. But she wants to use executive order for a lot of things too. And man, I don't care if it's a DNR, man. We've got to rein in the presidential power.
I agree 100%.
Way out of hand, way out of control. We need to rein them in. And also her history as a prosecuting attorney, man, like she's got some luggage they've got some things to overcome with that. You know, I think the right's going to really pounce on. I would have preferred Amy Klobuchar.
I would have too, actually.
She pulled her name out, being considerate. But I was like you, when I seen her name, I kind of took back. I was like, oh, I hate that she got picked. Then I was like, I'm still not going to vote for Trump.
Right, yeah. At the end of the day, it's really probably not going to change anybody's mind.
At the end of the day, I know before this is why, I don't even know if I care about debates. I know everybody's paying for these debates. They want to build. But who's going to change their mind over these debates? Do you know anybody? Because I don't know one person.
No, not really, but I think they're important. And I mean, I really do. And I'm not just saying this.
Oh, sure.
Because I think they're important because, I'm probably going to vote for Trump either way, okay? Because I personally just do not like Biden. There's some sketchy stuff with Biden, just like there is with Trump. And as far as policies themselves, I align more with the economic policies of Trump, okay? And the things that he's trying to do. I'm kind of funny on I don't know that building a wall is exactly the best thing to do, but I am at stifling illegal immigration because I think it takes away from the voting power. I'm all for people that come to this country and work on work visas at farms and different things and send their money back home. I ain't got no problem with that. That's fine because nobody else will do the work. They'll do it and do it well. But I don't know that a VP pick really moves the needle either way. But I do think debates are important because I really want to hear what each has to say. Biden may say something from a economic standpoint or a political standpoint that I might like, okay. Because look, love or hate Trump, he can be an ass. Okay. I mean, like, he just can. And, but what people say don't really bother me. It's their actions. And he may have some questionable actions as well, but so does Biden. Biden did when he was, with Obama during Obama's presidency. Because I told you, dude, I voted for Obama. I listened to Obama on that debate stage, and he changed my mind. But he was such a great talker.
Yeah,
and no, and look, people can say what they want to about Trump's mental capacity. Biden is really going to struggle if he gets on a debate stage with him, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think it's from a mental capacity standpoint, though. I think it's just from an entertainment value. I think Trump's, obviously he's a trained entertainer. He runs news cycle, bro.
Yeah, he does.
He does. And I think Biden's going to struggle in a debate stage with him. Not because that I don't like Biden's policies better, but I don't think that even matters in the debates.
I'm afraid Biden will trip up JD, and Trump is going to he's going to pound him. And it's not even one of those things where, like, Biden may have some ideas that I'm okay with, but you're right. Trump's an entertainer. He became president on the debate stage because he out-debated every single one of them, made them look like fools because he was entertaining.
Right, I agree with that. Absolutely. I don't know that he necessarily had substance that the other ones had because he obviously didn't. But how many jabs was he throwing, man? Like, he was throwing rights and lefts, and knocking them out.
One of his genius, the one thing about Trump is he was naming these people. Crazy Bernie, Crooked Hillary, and that stuff stuck, dude. That's pure marketing.
Right. That's one of the things that's been interesting thus far in these campaigns is nothing really stuck with Joe. Like, Joe is so vanilla,
right?
Hard to attack. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I agree.
And so he's having a really hard time. They're trying to make this child thing stick, which I think is ridiculous, but especially from somebody who's been in the court over child molestation. Anyway, and is in court right now for a rape case. Anyway, it's been interesting to watch him trying to tag Joe. He's trying to the sleepy Joe and the creepy Joe, and nothing seems to be sticking. And I think he's panicking just a little bit because Joe's so vanilla, like nothing's sticking. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and they're protecting Joe right now too, because like the other day, I think when they announced the VP pick, you got him and Harris sitting in a room together, and his people rushed the press out so that they couldn't ask any questions. And people would lose their ever-loving minds if Trump did that. I mean, oh my God, they would lose their ever-loving minds. And
Trump does have a press conference every day, bro.
Well, Joe.
But to be protected, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. And so, but, Biden, completely lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's one of those things where here it is. It's almost been genius what they've done. It's kind of keeping him out of the public eye because if you believe the polls, and we've had this discussion, I mean, the polls were exactly the same when he was running against Hillary.
Sure.
If you believe the polls, Biden ought to stay in his basement.
I agree.
Hell, he might win.
I think it's a strategy. Let Trump go, because so far that's what has happened.
I do think, though, if he doesn't debate, it's such an ingrained part of our presidential election that if he doesn't debate him, he'll get beat instantly.
I think he'll debate. I think he'll at least once. I don't think he'll do 3 times, but I think he'll debate once.
But no, because that's one of those things where I think it's so ingrained in our psyches as far as that's how we choose our president as we watch these debates. And then you kind of make a decision. I'm like you. Is it really going to change anybody's mind? Probably not. If you love Trump, you're going to vote for him. If you love Biden, you're going to vote for him. It just is what it is.
Like, it don't even matter. Like, Biden's name don't even matter to anybody. Let's just be honest. Nobody cares.
It's not Trump.
For Joe. Nobody's voting for Joe. I'm not voting. Like, I don't care less. Nobody against Trump. Period. I'll tell you, I'm proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's fine with me. And people try to act like that's a bad thing. Like, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. What the Democrats have done has been genius because Trump has continued to try to, no matter what he does, man, he's having to go back against himself. He started wearing masks and do things like that. And he's trying to talk these numbers up about these employment numbers like they're so great, and it's hilarious to watch because they're obviously.
Well, here's the thing, though. Let me stop you right there because this may make for an interesting discussion.
All right.
Because I think it's funny that people attack him on the economy right now because the reason the economy is in the tank is because of COVID.
Because he didn't handle it right.
No. They will not let us go back to normal life. They will not, dude. It's not because he didn't handle it right. You go and look in Europe right now. There's a spike in Europe right now.
Their spike is like 10 times less than what we're at, though. Like their spike is.
But it comes back to JD. It's like it's going to end up being out like a bad flu season, and we shut our entire economy down.
That's not true, though. A bad flu season is like 80,000. We're up to 170,000 deaths now.
Mm-hmm.
So we got, we have a vaccine for a flu, and then people are still dying, 80,000 of them. We don't have a vaccine for this thing that's killed 170,000. So it's not even comparable to the flu anymore. That argument has sailed, man. The spikes that you're seeing in Europe, these European countries, aren't comparing to where we're at right now, where we've still been at, and we've been kind of shut down for 7 months because we didn't do the things right in the beginning. Did he do some things right? Absolutely. When he shut down the transportation to China, regardless of what Nancy Pelosi said or any of the Democrats said, that was the right thing. I don't care. Like, I'm not beholden to no party, man. He did some of the right things, but he did a lot of the wrong things by telling people that it was a hoax or that it was going to be over in a week, or we got 15 cases and next week we won't have any. You're the leader, man. Regardless of what everybody else says, you're the guy. So what you say is important. And as the president, the buck stops with you, man. Fair.
I am of the belief that if we had locked it down, said, all right, here's what you got to do. Okay. You have to wear a mask. You have to social distance, and we're opening this thing wide open. Let's go. That it would not be much worse than it is right now. Because I saw a report the other day that now, before they were saying if you're asymptomatic, you still can spread it.
Sure.
Now there's a report that if you're asymptomatic, there's really no threat of you spreading it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. And we can argue about that. We can say, oh, they're saying this. Well, dude, it's a new, and they're trying to figure it out as we go here.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
And I'm not so arrogant to think that people aren't going to make mistakes. And, just like we were talking about the community center, I'm not so arrogant to think that we're not going to make some mistakes as we try to rescue this thing.
Right.
I don't want to be blamed for every single thing that happens because we're trying.
Right.
These doctors, these scientists, Trump, the Congress, they're trying. They're trying to figure it out. People crush Bashir, and he's trying. That's all I can say. I mean, I don't like some of the things that Bashir's done, but they're trying. And I sure wouldn't want to be in their position having to make those decisions. So, no, I don't know. Huh?
From the
Sure.
Zach Briggs says, so what he was trying to do is keep people calm. That's his job, not to panic the public. What he done different? Why don't? What? We don't know, I guess is what he's trying to say. We don't know. You're right. That was absolutely. But his job isn't to try to keep us calm. That's not the job. The job is to keep us informed. And when you give us false hope, that's not helping anybody. And you say, hey, this is serious. We got to take it serious. We got to perform like it's serious. That's keeping us informed. That's keeping us safe. So to keep us calm is not part of the president's job at all. I totally disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of agree with that sentiment. That's part of his job, is to he is our leader, and to not cause a mass panic. That is part of his job.
But there is a time to panic, though, man. And I feel like, and I don't know this because it's just total speculation, but I'm sure we're going to have that debate about the pandemic response team that he didn't disassemble, but he definitely defunded, right? What if those people would have been kept in place? I mean, this hindsight's 2020, right? But that's why you pay those people and keep that money there, is so we keep those people in place, because this can be the consequence of removing them. So, who knows what would have happened if we had another person, not even a Democrat, just another Republican. If we had John Kasich as the president, we could have had a totally different outcome. Could have been totally better. We don't know.
Could have been worse.
Could have been totally worse.
Could have been worse.
Absolutely.
Like I said,
but we know what we got now, and the response wasn't good, man. I don't care what anybody says. Our response, but there's countries now that are down to zero. And it's not because they're less populated or less densely populated. It's because they listen to the science from day one. That's why.
And that's one of those things, though, JD, that I can't lay totally at the president's footsteps. And here's why. I'll raise my hand. There was a time when you couldn't have made me put on a mask. I would have fought you out in the parking lot if you'd have tried to make me put on a mask. Now, I have changed my opinion because I was in Florida and I came back and I was worried about my mom.
Right.
And I put the mask on now. And if I can get college football by putting on a mask, I'm going to wear a mask.
Right. The thing is, Jimmy Don, if Trump would have told you in February or March,
I don't think that's true.
I think it is true, though.
I absolutely don't think that's true.
So you don't think more people wearing masks now that Trump's wearing one than they were beforehand? Because I do.
Probably there's some more people wearing masks, but I think Americans do not like being told what to do.
They don't.
They absolutely think it's an assault on their civil liberty. Whether I agree with that or not,
right?
They think that's an assault on their civil liberty. And I think there are other places, dude, where it's not like here. They are told what to do a lot.
Yeah.
And people here are used to doing whatever they want.
Right. But so you say that's the people don't like to be their civil liberties assaulted. I say a lot of people are selfish. Because it's not going to be me or you that's going to die from this, man. It's going to be
again, dude, it's one of those things where it's laid out to where, so you were basically calling me selfish early on because I didn't want to wear a mask. And it wasn't that I was necessarily being selfish. It was that it had not been proven to me. Like, I really felt like it was an attack. Look, because here's the question is, if we start with the mask, if they come up with a vaccine and they tell us, and we talked about this, if they tell us you cannot go into a college football game, you cannot walk in a restaurant to eat, we're going to implant this chip in you with this vaccine, we are going to be expected to do it. And then we're going to get talked about. But I am here to tell you right now, ain't nobody putting a chip in me.
Right. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But anyway, are you being less selfish now than you were at the beginning by wearing a mask now?
I just don't see it as being selfish. I see it as I made sure that because if I'm being honest, it's a little different for me because I'm not around people all the time. If you came into my office in the beginning, I didn't wear a mask.
Right.
Period. Now, if you told me that you had a health problem and that you would like me to wear a mask, I had one there to put on.
I don't have no problem with that.
And I would put it on. Now when I go into the post office or if I go into a store, or if I go in somewhere, I generally just put it on. Yeah. And I know this sounds crazy, but I want college football so bad I can't stand it. I just want college football. So if I can do my little part and put a mask on so I can watch college football, that's what I'm going to do. At the end of the day, I think look, I said, I find it, I don't know the right word, JD, not necessarily irresponsible to lay it at the feet of one person because
one person, but at the end of the day, the buck stops with the president, period.
It does. But like I said, you had a lot of different states that were running their responses.
Sure.
Right. Trump was saying, okay, do this. But at the end of the day, the states ran their individual responses.
A lot of Republican states didn't listen, and you see their numbers.
Right. But I also see that 1 million people didn't die. And that's what we were being told in the beginning.
Right. Because as we go, that's science. That's how it works. New information comes along.
Right. And I don't disagree with that.
So what we said on this program, though, we would rather overreact at the beginning, which we did. Did we do that? I don't know.
Not really. Not really.
But we should have, right? And then now by this time, this could have been over with.
Yeah.
Do
you think there's anything to it, JD, the herd immunity thing, where, look, we're all just going to have to get this thing at some point?
Well, I think now there's coming out new, as far as I know, man. I don't know. I can't keep up with all the changing evidence, but apparently you can get this thing twice. So I don't know if the herd immunity is really going to be effective.
Yeah.
Against this. I don't know.
Yeah, and like I said, but that's what's so crazy is the information keeps changing. And I think that's part of the problem is because the information keeps changing. You got people like me who like conspiracy theories, who are like, oh, this is all BS. You've got people like me who want to think that. But at the end of the day, and I swear to God, the reason I started wearing a mask was because of my mom, period. Because she does have some lung issues, and I was scared to death. I said, I've been here in Florida. Nobody had a mask on. This is the the epicenter of this thing right now. And I was just here. And if I came back and gave this to my mom and she died, I just could not live with myself.
Right. So there's a lot of people like, they want the economy to open back up. They want college football to open back up. Well, they put on a mask. It's not a big deal, man. Just wear it 10 seconds. And, 10 seconds can make the world of difference.
Do you think that we're headed to having to wear a mask for the next 5 years, 2 years?
No, I don't think so. I think this thing.
You don't think so?
I think I think the projection were like 15 months for a vaccine for this thing, and I think we'll get figured out.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think before that, I think January, February, we'll have this thing under control.
I like that discussion. I think you're completely full of crap about this, and you think I'm completely full of crap about this, but we're going to keep doing a Just Add Bourbon podcast.
Right. Right.
Yeah, right. Hopefully we don't get the COVID. All right. So there was a couple other things we wanted to talk about.
Andre Ray Bloomfield had another comment. She says, that's the thing. If it might help, then it's worth it. I really want the economy to keep going. I think we all need that. We want businesses to succeed. We want families to eat. Just wear a mask.
You know that I still think of Andre Ray. She's saying all these really smart and thoughtful things, but I still think of her as a child. She used to come to my house. Her and my sister were good friends in high school, and they used to hang out. So I still see Andre as this little girl, like my sister. I still see my sister that way too. So,
right.
But I think those are great comments. Every comment she's made has been solid. So I appreciate her making those. So there was a couple things that you wanted to throw in too, that you wanted to kind of explain or kind of get into.
So there's two things really. One, I'm going to talk about this 5-year-old boy that was killed a few days ago, I guess. And, I got all these people on my Facebook trying to make this a political thing. And it goes back to this Trump, with his brother thing. I think it's crazy. We're trying to exploit this kid's death and make a point against Black Lives Matter or make a point against the protest for George Floyd murder. I keep seeing this kid's name and picture being shared and, demand justice. And I don't know what they want other than they want to make a point they don't like black people. Maybe, I don't know what it is, but they want to demand justice. Where's the protest? Where's the riots? But the guy who murdered the kid was arrested. He's going to spend the rest of his life in jail. So I'm not exactly sure what their point is. Do you have any idea?
I don't know a whole lot about this. Okay. As far as the one thing that I had said to me about it, because like I said, I haven't read a whole lot about it. I haven't, I don't know a lot to even comment, but was that, look, if this had been a black child, this would have been all over the news. They would have been crushing, everybody about this if this was a black child and a white person was the murderer. But yet you haven't seen this on the news at all. That was the comment that was said to me.
Sure. But my rebuttal would be, that's not true, though, because that person was arrested. That's what these things been about. When Ahmaud Arbery was gunned down in Georgia, his killers walked for 3 months. And that's why there were protests. George Floyd was murdered on camera in broad daylight in his arrest. The officer wasn't arrested for 2 or 3 days. So to me, they're not even comparable situations. And I just don't understand what they're trying to pull on to make it similar. I don't understand.
Yeah, honestly, I wish I could debate this with you, but I don't know enough about it to even. I don't want to talk about it because as far as other than a general comment, it's sad if this little boy was killed 5 years old. It should be covered the same as anything else will be covered. To make it a Black Lives Matter issue, I don't necessarily see that. If the gentleman was arrested and is going to get convicted, like I said, I don't know enough about it though to really comment. But just what you've told me, that's kind of my general thought.
Yeah, the guy murdered him, and they arrested him, went on a manhunt, arrested him, put him in jail without bond. I don't know what they want. I'm sure there's kids out there, or black kids that are killed out there by white guys that you don't see on the news. You know what I mean? Hold on, right. Zach. Those are idiots, man. The main issue here I have is how it was reported. The headline was, man kills 5 years old instead of black man kills 5-year-old. If it were the opposite, it would have been white man kills black kid, right? Agree? No, that's just, you're trying to make it about race, though.
But now, JD, there is some truth to that. We've talked about that on here. There is some truth to that.
But we're trying to move away from that, right? Are we trying to move away from the black man killed a white kid and the white man killed a black kid?
It should just be a man killed child.
Right. So that's what the headline was, and that's not good enough.
But now, am I wrong in saying, I don't think Zach's necessarily wrong, is if that had been a white man that killed a black child, that headline would have been white man kills black child. It
might have been. Don't know. I'm sure both things have happened.
Yeah, I would bet you a steak dinner that it was, but
I'm sure both the headlines have happened that, a white guy killed a black kid, and the headline was just a man killed a black kid or a man killed a kid. And
Yeah.
the same headline from another magazine was white guy kills black kid.
Well, I think it's right now because there's so much unrest with these riots and stuff that people really feel that way.
We're trying to, with a wide paintbrush, paint everything the same way, man. And life ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? But life is totally different. I mean, life is lived in the gray, man, not in the black and white, really.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing we'll talk about, man.
Okay.
So my buddy Zach just sent me right before we started up here. He sent me this video of a guy going through New York City, and he goes, "Is this what you want from the Democrats? This is what your America is going to look like with the Democrats. This is Black Lives Matter." Like, and I think it's funny because I don't think people understand what Black Lives Matter really is. Like, Black Lives Matter is a movement. There's no organization. There's not people who are running Black Lives Matter. That's one of the problems, actually, in my opinion, is that there is a set of rules. There's not a set of guidelines. There's not a set of anything demands, because the Black Lives Matter movement doesn't have any leadership. So anybody can say they're Black Lives Matter or they're Antifa or they're whoever, and they could have totally off the wall alternative, what am I trying to say? They should have, they could have, their ideals couldn't align with those things at all. You know what I'm saying? You could claim to be Antifa and be the biggest white nationalist in the world because there's not a registry for Antifa. Same thing with Black Lives Matter. It's a movement. You can say you're Black Lives Matter, but it doesn't mean you are. You could go out there and set buildings on fire and say, "I'm Black Lives Matter." And now who gets the black eye for that? It's the same thing terrorist groups used to do. ISIS, when anything happened, they always took credit for it because they wanted to take, people think that they was responsible for it. It's the same, it's the exact thing in opposite, is that if I want my enemies to hate each other, that's all I got to do, man. I go out and pretend I'm Black Lives Matter,
Let me tell you because the one thing I understand Black Lives Matter is a movement about police brutality.
Right.
And that is specifically what it's about. And I watched a interview with Don Lemon and Terry Crews.
Okay. And
Don Lemon was attacking Terry Crews because he was saying, "Look, man, all these lives matter. Is it only a person that was hurt by, police brutality? That's the only ones we care about? But you will 100% get smoked if you say all lives matter. Or if you said white lives matter, you would get destroyed." So like I can see, like that's the segregation part. I understand the movement.
Sure.
But as far as the Black Lives Matter, I think that's why there's some confusion, is because you're saying Black Lives Matter. Well, of course they do. But that particular movement, the thing that I know about it, and I wish Brad was on here right now because I think he would argue with you. I don't have the capacity to argue with you on the Antifa thing,
right.
About the registry, and because that's a pretty organized group. So I'd like for Brad to be on here because he would know more about that. Maybe we can revisit that because I think that would be an interesting discussion.
Sure.
But I can also see where people, if you're not relaying your message in a way, Black Lives Matter, right? Black lives do matter, but the movement is strictly about, they say anyway, the movement is strictly about police brutality. And if what Don Lemon was saying, and I cannot stand Don Lemon, and what he was saying was, well, if you are worried about black on black crime, then you can start a movement over here that is for black on black crime. Well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Black Lives Matter. Why? It just matters. So you're telling me, and here's what Terry Crews was arguing, because he got a lot of criticism about, well, all Black Lives Matter.
Sure.
And Don Lemon was arguing that, well, this is strictly about police brutality. If you want to have a group over here about the black lives on, the black on black crime or something like that, then you need to start your own group over here and do that. And I thought, well, that's dumb. Just Black Lives Matter. Let's go. Right. Or all lives matter. Let's go. But you will absolutely get smoked if you say that.
So here's what the problem is, in my opinion, with the all lives matter as being a, answer to Black Lives Matter. When the Declaration of Independence was signed, or the Constitution, what is it? All men are created equal. Which one has it in it? I don't remember. I'm drawing the blank right now. When they said all men are created equal, did they mean black lives?
Probably not at that time.
When they said all men give them the right to vote, they mean all men?
Probably not that time.
Right. So the Black Lives Matter because that's the race that's been suppressed the most in this country that are still around. I mean, besides the Native Americans, who are very rarely around. The Black community has been exploited and not treated equally from the beginning of this country, man.
So again, let me kind of push back on you just a tick, okay? Not that I don't necessarily disagree. It's just I'm going to push back just because.
Yeah, what's the fun of agreeing, man? Go ahead.
Right. So as far as what you're saying is not inaccurate, right? At that time, it was mainly white people. You had Europeans coming over, and then they ended up bringing the slaves over. And it wasn't at that time. It was when they were saying all men are created equal. They probably were talking about just white people. That would be my guess. But they also had the idea, as I've told you, that they also say we are not a perfect union. We are an imperfect union. And the idea is to recreate ourselves. When we realize an injustice, we try to correct that injustice.
I agree with that.
And I feel like that has happened over time. I feel like a lot of those things have been corrected. Now, we still have a long way to go as it comes to race relations. I don't disagree with that at all. I think you're spot on when you say that. We've got a long way to go. But what you were saying, too, is the Black Lives Matter movement doesn't encompass all Black lives. It encompasses the Black lives that have been impacted by police brutality. And that was the argument that Cruz was having with that. Yes, that's absolute. What Cruz was telling Lemon was that is absolutely important. What you're saying is the Black lives that are being affected by police brutality. That is absolutely something that we should be standing up and fighting for. He said, but that's about 1% of the Black deaths in America. The highest percentage of deaths in America are actually Black on Black crime. And so what Cruz was trying to say was those Black lives matter too. We need to work on that. Fathers in the home, the breakdown of the family, things like that's what Cruz was trying to say. And Don Lemon was literally arguing with him saying, well, if you want to do that, let's go over here and start another group. And Terry Crews was like, man, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I don't necessarily disagree with either one of them, really. It's just two different perspectives.
Sure.
I get the Black on Black crime. You know who kills most white men?
White men.
Other white men.
Yeah.
Who kills most Black men? Other Black men.
Other Black men. Right, because you're together most of the time.
You're around, man. So but I always feel like people want to bring up with this Black on Black crime and murder because just as to shut down Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't want to answer the question about police brutality. And let me, you was talking about, cops killing Black men, and that's a problem for sure. But it's not just about that, man. There's a book, and I recommend it to everybody's listening, called Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell, where he goes into a lot of these incidents. He talks about this guy was, in Ferguson, Missouri. Remember they had the riots from Michael Brown, and this guy was sitting at the ball course. He just got through playing some ball. He was just chilling in his car, on his phone, whatever. And the cop stops him, and he harasses him, puts him in jail, writes him up for his name was Robert, and the cop asked him what his name was. He said Rob, and so he got him for false identification. Puts him in jail. Now he loses his job, and his life's in a tailspin. So there's a lot more going on than just cops killing people.
Well, and I don't disagree with you. Like I said, I actually agree with you on that point. Most of the time, I just want to, for the point of discussion, I think it's important to kind of try to see all sides that we can, especially what we're trying to do here. But what I think Cruz was trying to say was, look, you're absolutely right, but that is the smallest percentage of why our people are dying. And that's important. And we absolutely need to fight that injustice, and we need to do those things. That's where I think a lot of people have a problem with the Black Lives Matter movement, is that they're trying to say, you're absolutely right, Black Lives Matter. All Black Lives Matter. It doesn't matter. All lives matter. In the United States of America, we're trying to get better every day. Not every day probably, but we're trying. And I think people are just so, like I was saying, I'm just like so uncomfortable right now. Like nothing feels normal to me. It's just weird.
Out of balance.
Yeah, it's just so out of balance, man. And I think a lot of people feel like that.
So I'm going to read one of Zach's comments here. I think it's a pretty good point, and I actually agree a lot with you. The Black Lives Matter movement has gotten distorted, out of control. There's no structure, true leadership. Its focus now is destroying lives, destroying the economy, etc. I get the movement. I understand why it started. Now it's out of control. No, I don't know, Zach. like I said, there's a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of people claim to be people are not. So I could say that I'm Antifa and go out there and join the Nazi party. But does that make me Antifa?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I can claim all kinds of things. And I see all these memes on Facebook. They got all these Black Lives Matter protesters. You don't even know if they're Black Lives Matter protesters. The only reason you think that is because the meme says it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We got to stop getting our news off Facebook. And we got to dig deeper, man, in what we believe and what we stand for. And I absolutely believe you that Black Lives Matter movement needs leadership. It needs a centralized command, or they need funding or something, so where you understand what it is that are you striving for. You need a platform. There's no platform, we can't work. If you have a platform that we can work toward to answer some questions or some problems, then we got something. But until that, I mean, it's hard for me to use this broad paintbrush and just paint everybody as a Black Lives Matter organizer or member just because they claim to be.
Right. And like, you know, we've talked about this before. You've even got people that are Antifa that are acting as white nationalists and doing things trying to make the other side look bad. It's just crazy right now. Like you said, it is so out of balance that like it literally makes me uncomfortable.
Andrew Tackett Day says that's an excellent book talking about talking to strangers. I'm telling you, man, if you have relationships or interesting to you, man, I definitely recommend the book. But there's an excellent book just finished and it blew my mind. Andrew did the same thing with me. I've listened to it probably 4 times on Audible.
Do you have that book, JD?
Hey, Hayden, what's up, buddy? And Zach says, I get my news from Fox News. I have zero doubts about that, Zach.
Well, listen, I'll tell you this. If you're getting your news from Fox, from CNN, from ABC, from NBC, CBS, MSNBC, you are being propagandized to.
Anybody
daily.
Q is the only one you get. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't like Q. I find interesting.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
But there are a lot of citizen journalists out there. And if that's something I know JD's really looking into as far as trying to find his news there, we've discussed that a lot. And Brad can absolutely lay it on you. These citizen journalists where you're not getting propagandized to, they're giving you news and you can try to make a decision for yourself based on the actual facts of what's occurring. That's where I recommend you get your news, honestly. I mean, I think if you're watching Fox, that is just as bad as people who are watching CNN.
It is. And it's, man, it's just tough, man, right now. And I think social media has a big play in all this misinformation.
Absolutely, dude.
It's insane. And I have learned, and I may be guilty of this to some degree, I try to protect myself from it, but the confirmation bias that goes on with these social media outlets, you know, they get these news articles and people read the headlines and, man, they just tickled death. That's all they read. And hey, look at here, Trump did something awesome, or Trump done something crazy, or just whatever it is. And it's just, don't it just wear you out, man?
Yes, dude. Like even watching YouTube, because where we've been doing the YouTube stuff, like I'm kind of learning YouTube a little more than I knew. And you'll have these headlines that are total clickbait. And you go in there and watch it, it'll say Trump destroys Biden in debate. And then you go in there and nothing really happened.
So there's a guy on YouTube I watch. He was on Joe Rogan a couple times named David Packman. And I'm about to stop turning on his channel because every headline he's got, Trump totally loses it in Twitter rant. And they go in there, I'm like, I mean, that's just typical Trump thing. It's not,
yeah, that's nothing big.
It's nothing big. You know what I mean? Like I was expecting, but it's just all clickbait all the time.
Yeah.
And it's total biased. I mean, he's basically Sean Hannity for YouTube.
Right.
You know? Like everybody knows it's a biased viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't like the clickbait stuff because I think it's honest. And it's hard to just decipher through all that junk.
No, you're absolutely right, man. JD, do we have anything else?
I think it's it, brother.
Dude, I've had a ball tonight.
Yeah, it's always just fun just to riff, man.
It really is. Well, because we're doing all these different things. Like, I really enjoy the other side of the glass. Like, yeah. I really enjoy that because you really kind of get to experience, what somebody like Joe Rogan, we're nothing like Joe Rogan. He's the biggest podcast in the world. But when you get to sit down and talk to experts and what they do, and it's incredibly interesting. Like, that's one of the things I like the best about doing this.
Dude, are you kidding me right now? We've talked to comedians, authors, scientists, motivational speakers, musicians. And I got one lined up, man. I ain't even told you about this, but there's a very historical place over in West Virginia that we're going to talk to the person who directs it. And
Awesome.
So I want to get it nailed down before we announce it. But
And Eric's got one lined up for us too. Did he reach out to you about that?
Got to wait for that one too, though. We can't announce that yet.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one too.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, I got a little TV watching I got to do. But, but we got somebody else coming on. So cool, man. We miss Brad as always. I love it when Brad is on here with us because I think he would have dove straight into this conversation. Right. And like I said, and Brad will have the facts. I'm more of a general kind of guy. My job is to direct our conversation. And Brad and JD are kind of the experts, if we want to call JD an expert. No. I love you, brother.
And I just got opinions, you know what I'm saying?
That's right. Wait, I've got opinions too. Like I said, I have a hard time, expressing mine a lot, but because I'm just busy and I don't get to read a whole lot, but I just know what I think. And I look at something, that's just what I think. And that's what I try to express.
And here's one thing, man. I'll let you go after this, but I feel like everybody feels like they have to have an opinion about everything right now. And sometimes it's okay not to have an opinion. Or it's okay to change your opinion. If you find out more facts and you're educated about it, it's okay to change your opinion. I've had I can't remember last week it happened, because it don't happen much, because I got a lot of opinions. And somebody asked me something, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know enough about to have an opinion, man. I think sometimes that's the best thing that you can say sometimes, because it's okay. Because what we do, we form an opinion, we dig our feet in it, and we're unable to move. And I think we're better off. Everybody's better off if we're willing to be flexible and learn and change our opinions as new information comes about.
Sure. I agree with that 100%, JD. I think that's a good way to end our show. So, look, guys, I've had a ball tonight. It's been a while since we've got to do this. And this is it's like I was telling somebody the other day, I said, I really like the interview part. Like I do. I love that part. I think the other side of the glass is a lot of fun for me.
Yeah.
But when we get to do this, like I really enjoy it. It's just a free flow of ideas. We're not really arguing with each other. We're just trying to talk and figure things out. As Brad says in the intro, we don't have all the answers, but we got a lot of questions. It's, that's kind of what we are.
And I appreciate people commenting, man, give us feedback. I like that.
Yeah. And we wanted to do this one today on Facebook because we know we have a lot of local people that watch us on Facebook, and we wanted to talk about the community center. But jump on over to YouTube, guys. You can catch us on there. You can comment on there just like you can Facebook. We're able to monitor that just like we can here. So next Sunday, jump on over with us. But this Thursday, do we have anybody lined up yet for this Thursday?
I think I'm going to have somebody. We're fine.
Okay. All right. So we'll announce that here later in the week. But go check us out on iTunes. Of course, Podbean. We launched from there. You can subscribe to us there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all those places. Go to the YouTube page and subscribe. If you can get mine and JD's pages to 250 and the Just Add Bourbon page to 250, we are both going to eat Carolina Reapers.
And I'm going to wear a Trump shirt.
And I'm going to wear a Biden shirt.
I swear, man, every time I say that, it hurts my feelings a little bit.
I know it does. It hurts you more than actually having to do the Reaper thing. I know. Hey, check out our gear. Holler at Brad. Brad's got these shirts in black and red. And there's also some ladies' shirts as well, the V-neck. You can get those off Brad. So message him or Tiff, and they'll hook you up with these. And these are actually really nice shirts. Like, this is one of those. These are nice.
I've got a couple mediums and a couple larges left. That's all I got left, man. They're great.
Okay. Yeah. So if you need any gear, holler at JD or Brad, and then we'll have some more memorabilia for you coming down the road. But as we always end our show, from myself and from JD, no matter how bad your week's been, no matter how bad your day's going, if you just add bourbon, it always gets a little bit better. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Support the community center.